Hi guys, my name's Alex. Welcome to the channel. And well, basically, I'm just gonna start by saying, a lot of you guys are probably already gonna know me because a lot of you guys are probably gonna be my friends starting out with this. But for the people watching, I'm starting this YouTube channel to kind of as a guide for life, but not really because I tend to make shitty ass decisions. So don't follow my guide, don't follow what I do, but I'm making this YouTube channel so that people can learn from my life so that they don't necessarily have to make the same mistakes I do, and the things that I do right people can learn from. Hopefully it can make them a better person. I mean, isn't this really what YouTube and being a what do you call it, a social character is all about? It's trying to influence people to be better. Not necessarily better. I mean, people influence to make people worse, but why would we want the world worse than it already is? So I'm gonna give a little bit about me, my background. I was born and raised in Idaho. I went to military school at 16 because I got into some things when I was in my early high school days, and I ended up fucking up like a lot of people do. It's you think that you're the only one for a long time until you kind of realize, there's a lot out there that are like you. That's how I was for a long time. I thought I was the only one. I thought I was alone, and you're not. There's a lot of people who go through a lot of the same things that you do, and you just don't realize it. There. Yeah, anyways, I was born and raised in Idaho, went to military school at 16. Shortly after leaving military school, we ended up moving to Arizona. I just turned 17. We're down in southern Arizona by the border. It was hard being, I hate to say this because it sounds so bad, but being the only white kid with red hair, it was me and my sister. Me and my sister were the only white kids with red hair down there, but obviously she had a little more luck than I did because she's a girl. I hate to say it that way, but I mean, it's true. No, things didn't work out well there. Me and my stepdad we've never really gotten along, and things kind of got out of whack there. I ended up moving back up to Idaho. We went on a visit, and I ended up staying up there, trying to start life at 17. About 8 or 9 months later, didn't really work out that well. So I ended up going to Washington, I went to northern Idaho because I'm from southern Idaho, Boise area. I ended up moving to northern Idaho with my grandpa, and my grandpa let me stay there for a couple months. Then I ended up moving to Washington with a buddy of mine. This buddy of mine I had known for a very long time. He was one of my best friends since like 6th or 7th grade. We had all gotten along really well. And this is why I would say that this is one of the first buddies that I actually lived with, like a really, really close friend of mine. Because obviously, I wasn't like living by myself. I'm still to this point. I'm almost 20, and I still don't live by myself. But soon I'm gonna be living in my own place. But at this point, I should be living on my own and by myself, but I'm not. I'm gonna be living with my uncle here soon. But this is kind of why I created this channel, so that I can have like a daily vlogging experience where I can let people know about my life, because I love to do that. My life is something to learn from. A lot of everybody's life, there's something to learn from it. Everybody goes through shit. This fucking zit hurts. Where was I at? Anyways, this is why I wouldn't recommend living with close friends, because things tend to fall out. Eventually you guys are gonna have to part ways, and most of the time it's not a very good end, as much as people want it to be. Cody was one of my best friends, and I had ended up having to leave because I ended up eating his mom's boyfriend at the time. I was either a growing 17, 18-year-old boy, and I was eating some cookies, and Well, I didn't ask, and his stepdad or it's now his mom's husband, so good for them. They actually they're doing great, but I got kicked out for eating some cookies, which I think is personally kind of retarded, but hey, it's their house, their rules. I had to respect their wishes, so I had to leave. I ended up staying with another buddy of mine who both me and Cody had actually met back in middle school. Another buddy of mine, Alex, he was also living in Washington. So it just so happened that our little trio that we had in middle school ended up being, we ended up having this little trio again. We were living near each other in Spokane. Cody didn't really hang out much after they had kicked me out. So it was just me and Alex. And, well, me and Alex were staying over at his mom's house. We were getting shit done. I had 2 jobs at the time. And, well, Alex's mom's boyfriend had also fucking gone AWOL. Except his was a little different. This guy was he was straight up muscle head, fucking, I'm gonna beat your fucking ass, type of guy. So, Alex and I really didn't want to live in that sort of negativity. His mom wasn't getting rid of him. It was kind of like the same situation where I lived in. But, I dealt with this shit by myself since I was a child. So, Alex, over here at 18, he's kind of getting put in this situation at 17, 18 years old with this stepdad type guy that the mom can't really get rid of. I dealt with that as a child, so I kind of grew up with that sort of stuff. I don't want to say it was normal, because that type of shit isn't normal. Having an abusive stepdad, having an any sort of abusive relationship isn't normal. But I grew up with that, so I kind of it's hard to explain because it's not normal. It's not normal. It fucks with you. Fucks with your mentality. I'm pretty sure I have PTSD from the shit my stepdad has done to me. But to me, in my brain, how it works is it feels normal. So it doesn't feel super shitty, I guess. I could only imagine what Alex was feeling, having to sit through it, starting it at 17, instead of growing into it. So, he was in a very, very negative mindset, and I told him, I said, look, I'm leaving. Obviously your mom and Joe don't want me here, so I'm probably gonna go back to Idaho. If you want to come with me, you can. He actually ended up staying. He didn't end up. He did leave the house. He did make a decision to leave the house, and he ended up starting shit on his own, and he was actually doing really good for a while. And honestly, I haven't talked to him in a little bit. This is probably a little more than a year ago. And I haven't talked to him a little bit, but as far as I knew, he was doing really well. So see what happens there. I think they may have possibly moved back to Boise, or I don't know if they're still living in Washington, but good for them. As far as I knew, Alex, he's doing really well. His little sister Anna, who was she was my little sister too. I heard she's been doing all right. She had broken up with her boyfriend that she had while I was there. They, I don't know, middle school shit. So after I had went back to Idaho, I stayed there, I kind of went in a reverse role. So I ended up going from Washington back to my grandpa's, back to southern Idaho, and then I made this little jump to where I went from southern Idaho to Oregon. Then from Oregon I went up to Canada, and I went back through. I stayed at my grandpa's for a night, and I had come back through Idaho and ended up staying in, I believe it was Utah. And I stayed in Utah for a while, and then I ended up going back to Arizona. And then, shit again didn't work out. A few months later, I'm sitting with my dad having a full fist match again, except this time was different because I had actually, done something about it instead of sat there and taking a beating. I'm 19 years old. After dealing with the shit for 13 years, I wasn't going to put up with it anymore, and I beat the fuck out of my stepdad. I mean, that's really the simplest way to put it. I don't condone violence at all. I would really rather not. Like, violence isn't necessarily the answer to everything. No, don't get me wrong, because, violence sometimes, there is a point where sometimes violence has to be taken to a certain extent, and, in order to fix shit. The thing is, if I would have let him sit there and beat me that day, I don't know where I don't think I would be in Oklahoma today, living, I'm living an all right life now. It's all right. It's not the best, but it's not bad like it was, At 17 years old, I was kind of hopping house to house. I was kind of doing that shit before I had even moved away from my mom and stepdad, for like a good amount of time. I was going and I was doing some shit with my friends, and, we were just being dumb teenagers. And, we were just doing dumb shit. And I put myself in this position. As much as it pains me to say it, but I did. I put myself here. Now I got to get myself out of it, and it's hard, it really is. That's why I wouldn't want anybody to go through the shit I went through. Life isn't that hard. It's just a lot of people tend to make it very difficult. Like me, I made it very difficult for a long time, not realizing how easy life actually was. It can get hard at times. It really can. But there's no... Only you can tell yourself if you're going to push through it or not. If you're not going to push through it, and you give up, you say, fine, fuck it, this is too difficult, It's your choice in the end, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. Anybody has the strength and courage to keep going. I think some people just need a little bit more help finding it. That's all it really is. But yeah, anyways, still haven't finished my story. So I'm back in Arizona. Things didn't work out. I ended up beating the fuck out of my dad. I ended up moving to Mexico, damn near Mexico. I could walk 5 minutes and be at the border. Living with my mom and my stepdad, I wasn't quite that close. I was about a half-hour drive from Mexico in this little town, But I had literally lived like a 5-minute walk away from Mexico. Like, I had moved in with a buddy of mine after that shit happened. Ended up staying there for a while. Things also didn't work out there, trying to get a job in Mexico as a white boy with red hair, I do speak Spanish. I don't really speak it fluently, but I can understand a lot of it. I can't speak it that well, but I can understand Spanish very well. I grew up, my stepdad was Mexican. I grew up in a Mexican household with my grandparents and stuff. We'd go over there for dinners like every other weekend, shit like that. One of my favorite dishes ever is menudo, it's bomb as hell. Most people don't like the thought of fucking eating pig intestines or cow intestines. It's delicious to me. But, anyways, I ended up going from his house, because, things weren't working out. I wasn't getting a job, I can't support myself if I don't have a job, so I ended up moving here to Oklahoma with my biological dad. Again, things didn't really work out, I kind of figured things were going to end up like this, considering, my dad never really was there for me as a child. He didn't really know what I went through, he wasn't there to raise me. He didn't really know who I was. I never really knew who he was. And the thing is weird, because, like, me and my dad really are, we're kind of like the same person. I mean, we really are. Like, I look just like the dude. But, that's why I'm scared. I don't want to be bald and fat, so I'm going to, try to not have that happen. Yeah. You can stop that shit from happening when you're younger, just letting you know. But, I mean, it can still happen. Like, it can literally just be genes, too, and it will happen. You can't control it, which I'm hoping isn't the case for me. I feel like, considering the way my dad looked when he was 19, doing pretty damn well. I mean, I still got a full set of teeth, where I think he was down to like half at my age, so yeah. What was I gonna say? I don't know what I was gonna say, but yeah, anyways, now I'm here. I'm also currently working 2 jobs. Work at Sonic, as you guys can see by my uniform. Sonic, come visit me. And I also work at H2O right across the street, So I'm gonna basically be, filming my lives, or yeah, because I live multiple lives, I really do. But yeah, there is going to be, I gotta warn you guys, there's going to be explicit content on this channel, because I'm not keeping a single part of my life away from whoever watches this. Everybody who watches this deserves to know every part of my life, not just, the best parts of it, not keeping, anything bad out of it, because that's a part of life too. There is bad in life, whether you don't want it to be bad or not, whether you think it's bad or not, whether you don't want there to be bad, there's bad no matter what. What you choose to say about it. Like, I smoke weed, there's probably going to be a lot of smoking weed on this channel. Obviously, younger children can't watch that. Anybody who's 21 and younger isn't supposed to watch that, even though the shit still happens. There's not really any way to control, and a fucking 15-year-old making a Google account that says he's 21. Like, trust me, shit's easy. Don't do it. I didn't tell you to do that, but it's just like, I can't stop whoever watches this from watching it. I gotta say that there's going to be things on here that a child should not watch. I'm not a child, I'm an adult. I'm almost 20 years old. I do adult-like things, even though I shouldn't do those things. Like drinking, for example. I'm not supposed to drink. I do drink with my buddies every once in a while. I don't see a problem with it, as long as I'm in a safe place, I'm in a safe environment. At least we're not going out fucking drinking and driving, which, don't get me wrong, I have done that shit, but I personally haven't drank and drove, but I've been with buddies who have drank and drove. We're fine, obviously, nothing happened, but bad shit can happen when you are under the influence of anything. Just remember that. As far as anything else goes, I hope to see you guys again later. You guys will be seeing a lot more of me. I have been wanting to make a YouTube channel for years now, doing this exact stuff, just documenting my life. I should have started this, back when I went to Idaho, back when I was living in Idaho. I could have started this, and, I could have filmed my whole adventure that I've had. I've been to 3 different countries, several states, all in the past 2 years. Sounds kind of cool, but the circumstances of how that was done it's not the greatest. The circumstances of me being all over the place isn't what I wanted. It's cool that I have been all over the place. I've got to see so many things, meet so many different types of people, but I would have rather that not happen if I didn't have to have it happen. I'm currently living in a city where it is literally in the top 10 cities in the world for crime rates. I'm living in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I don't know if it's still in the top 10 crime cities, but it was at one point while I've been living here. So I really would have rather not moved to a city like this, but shit happens, life happens, and that's why I'm filming this, is because life happens. And I hope that people can watch this and kind of be like, yeah, he's going through the same shit, I'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned.